All right, we're live now. So that means we weren't I just don't know. I mean, we do this every month and there we go. Okay, we're live
Okay.
on IG.
Yep, I see it. It just popped up.
All right. Let's do a fresh start because I'm all
Yeah.
like just come back be like, hold on, let's you ready? You ready? Here we
Yeah.
go. All right, there we
Right.
go. We have regrouped. We got it together now.
Yeah. So how you feeling?
I am exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think we both. I was traveling. You were just partying, so we had a
Wait,
good
how? First
weekend.
of all, why are you telling all my business? How do you know? I didn't want to tell people I was like at a yoga retreat or like this Bible long 3 day long Bible study,
Right.
silence only, just festering in the word of the Lord all Memorial Day weekend. How you know I didn't want to do
Yeah.
that?
I guess I done put it out there now. So yeah, Dr. RJ was turning up.
I was, and I was trying to figure out why I was tired today, and I'll tell you this.
Mhm.
Usually on my days I have I'm like really strategic about how I use my energy. And so certain days are for meetings, certain days are to be client facing, certain days are for like working on the business. But
Mhm.
because yesterday was a holiday, I don't work on a holiday. Today was like more, I had meetings in addition to being client facing. And I
Mhm.
realized that that's draining. Like my
Yeah.
brain is like, what we doing? Like, what, get it together. What are we doing? We don't like this. And so um, I'll just say this for those of you out there who do have control over your schedule, a technique or a strategy that I use and I didn't even realize that impacted me so much is to time block as much as possible and keep like activities together on the same day or at least half day. So that's my
Yeah.
tangent.
No, that's important. I realized that not too long ago because, speaking and seeing clients and coaching and having them all on the same day was just too much. I'm like, no, I don't
Yeah.
like this at all. So
Yeah, it's a lot of shift for the brain. So how are you feeling?
I'm tired too. I was in Cali this weekend, so I'm a little jet lag and it was great, but it takes a little while to recover from that.
Yeah, especially if you're back and forth. What were you doing in Cali? Since you want to
Oh,
tell my business, I want to
right.
hear yours.
Speaking. So I was actually speaking to Chick-fil-A leaders, so it kind
Oh,
of
that's so cool.
coincides with what we're going to be talking about.
Okay,
Yeah,
very cool.
it was good.
So, why leaders should prioritize mental health and steps to actually do it. So, hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Dr. RJ, licensed clinical psychologist. And I help leaders and executives prioritize their mental health so that they can eliminate stress, anxiety, and burnout and live their best balanced lives that they've worked so hard to build.
Love it. I'm Jason Phillips, licensed clinical social worker, and I help high achievers improve their confidence to eliminate self-doubt.
And so, oh, actually, let me put our information up here while we're talking.
Mhm.
Um, for those who, of course, want to stay connected with us, join our communities. Is my volume low or am I just like
You
low?
sound good on my end.
Okay, perfect. Um, I was gonna tell you something else. Oh, do you know what today is? It's a trick
Uh,
question.
I don't. Day after Memorial Day.
It is it's our year of doing these lives. It's our
It's been
year,
a year.
it's our live anniversary.
Wow. Dang. Okay. Well, congratulations to both of us.
I expect a bottle of very nice prosecco at my door like
It's in
this
the
week.
mail.
Don't
Dang.
know, don't put it in Atlanta's mail. Everything gets stuck over at one post office because they don't have enough workers. So I need it
Oh,
like go through Amazon or something.
right. Right. I can't believe
One
it's been a
year.
year.
Yep, it's been
Dang,
a full
okay.
year. We
Well, we're
we
gonna have to show
started
up tonight.
Oh, we got to get our energy up. All right. All right. So here we go, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad to have you here today. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. And as clinicians, as practitioners, we talk about mental health all year long. But we really, really go in May because that's when everybody's eyes are on it. That's when everybody's paying attention. So we wanted to make sure that we talked about today or gave you some tips and steps today why as leaders, as busy professionals, as high performers, that you should prioritize your mental health. We both have been in the field for a very long time. This is not just an overnight thing. And we have seen the effects of not when leaders do not prioritize their mental health. So we want to make sure that that does not happen to you. So Jason, kick us off.
Yeah.
Why is this so important?
So I'm gonna say first, when you do prioritize your mental health as a leader, it helps with productivity. So productivity for yourself, productivity for your team. Sometimes we think that by taking care of ourselves, taking care of our mental health is going to slow us down. But in
Mhm.
actuality, it does the opposite. So you'll get
Yep.
people who are more productive, they love what they do, and you yourself, you'll show up with more energy.
Yeah, I agree. I can attest to that. Like I tell my colleagues, like I'm gonna run circles around y'all because I get my sleep. I do my
Yeah.
morning routine. Y'all are just going without resting. I take a quarterly vacation. I
Mhm.
have two like strategically planned do nothing days. So yes, it is true. I'm definitely more productive because I do prioritize my mental health. Absolutely.
And I'll add to it too. We were talking about basketball before we
Yeah.
jumped on. So I read or heard LeBron James really prioritizes his rest. And he's going into his 22nd year, I think. So it just kind of shows you to performing at that high level, you have to prioritize your health, mental and physical.
He's definitely one of my mental health go-tos, like when I want to see it
Yeah.
in real life
Mhm.
for elite, like at the highest level there is, to see how it's actually done step by step. Obviously I know the sciencey stuff. I know
Right.
it works for my clients, but I'm always looking to see what are the elite individuals really doing, what are they actually doing on a daily basis.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So
why else?
another reason, it helps you avoid burnout.
Hmm.
So, sometimes when you've been doing something for a long time, you've been performing at a high level, it can start to be stressful. But when you take a step back and actually pour into yourself, you're able to withstand those long days, long hours. And it also sets the tone for the people that you're leading. So, we're talking about leaders. When you don't prioritize your mental health, it's sending a sign to those who are looking at you like they don't have to either. So, I'll say last year I had the opportunity to talk to college basketball players, and they brought in NBA players after I spoke. And they asked one of the guys, it was actually Jeff Green, who's been in the league for like 18 years. They said, how do you, stay performing at this level? And he actually said, now it's more mental than
Hmm.
physical.
Yep, absolutely. I agree 1,000%. Burnout is my jam. And so in order to prevent burnout, it's an everyday thing, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's something that um needs to be worked on a daily basis, not something we just need to pay attention to in May, mental health month.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you brought that up. All right. What else?
Yeah.
What else you got?
So another reason it helps. So as leaders, we hate when our teams are constantly changing. I mean, of course, change is inevitable, but it is tough. It's like you're always starting over. You have to learn new people, new personalities. But when you prioritize your mental health and you also prioritize mental health of your team members, they'll stay much longer. I know when I've worked at places and have been there 5, 10, 15 years, they were happy. And you could tell that mental health was something that the leaders from the top down, they emphasized it. So when you think about employee retention, it directly coincides with taking care of your mental health.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. And you retain your top talent, right? Because what happens is leaders, they spend all this money to recruit talent,
Mhm.
and then they get in there and wear them out. And they're like, I'm not about to do this. Like, no, thank you. And so they lose their best people very early on. And then you end up with the B and C players.
Yeah.
Um, and that makes it like, don't nobody want no B and C players. I know I don't.
Right. Right.
And that makes it harder on the leaders if your whole team are like B and C players because you've worn out the A players, or the A players are high achievers. So they're watching you as the leader not prioritize your mental health. So they're like, ooh, if my boss isn't taking a break, neither should I.
Right.
Even if they need it, they're like watching. If my boss is emailing, at 2 a.m., maybe I should be up to answer the email.
Hmm.
And then you end up losing your A players because you run them away. A players are not going to hang around if they're burned out for sure. And it's expensive to companies to lose A players.
For sure, for sure. I know when I had a team and I was leading, I would always tell my people, like at a cutoff time, let's say it's 5 o'clock, go home. I'm leaving. I want y'all out of here too. So they knew that the culture was not going to be to just stay and work after hours and burn yourself out.
Right. And so as oh, I didn't mean to have those both at the same time. So setting an example as a leader by prioritizing your mental health is one of the whys of it. So increasing productivity, retaining talent,
Mhm.
and avoiding or preventing burnout.
Yes, and along with that too, it reduces presenteeism.
Yeah.
So people showing up when they don't need to show up.
Yep.
I think sometimes we think the opposite. Like if I'm taking a day for myself, I'm calling out too much. But in actuality, if you have PTO, you should use it. Like I know you probably talk to leaders where they get frustrated when they feel like they need a break. When in
Yep.
actuality,
They feel like it's a failure.
yeah, I
Mhm.
have to be perfect. That's what they'll say. I have to be perfect.
Yeah. And especially if we're talking about underrepresented minorities, women, people of color,
Mhm.
feel like all eyes are on them, and they are holding the torch for everyone who's to come. So I have to really get this right, either because the person before me didn't do it right, or the
Mhm.
person after me. I want a nice paved road for them, and that's a lot of pressure. And we have to be careful about taking on that burden. There are other ways we can create a pathway and a healthy guiding light without being burned out and without doing the most.
Yeah,
So,
I'm so glad you said that. Like when I've worked with women, particularly Black women, y'all show up early, you take on extra duties, extra roles, but it's often at the detriment of your own mental health.
yeah, yeah. Black women do the most,
Yeah,
and
so
for a lot of reasons. But either way, we have to do better. Like we
yeah.
have to do better. There are reasons, right? I mean, there are. We know historically we had to do the most to even just get through the door and to open the door and to be in the rooms for people like me, right? So I
Mhm.
appreciate the sacrifice and I appreciate what has happened in the past, but we no longer have to take those exact steps. There are other ways now to pave the way for those who are to come after us.
Yeah.
So
The
we got to
last
catch up.
last reason I'll say as far as why leaders should prioritize mental health, it helps set healthy boundaries.
Hmm.
Feeling like you're always on, a sense of guilt if you can't respond to an email or if you can't take care of somebody else. Think about yourself, your family, what you need for you. And when you prioritize your mental health, you're setting healthy boundaries so you can show up and last longer because nobody wants to be around a leader who's grumpy, irritable, annoyed. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yep.
I hated those type of leaders.
They come in aggravated, like it's like, oh, what mood are they in today? It's because they're exhausted, they're
Right.
disorganized. It's like all this stuff. You don't know what you're supposed to be doing because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They don't remember anything because they're exhausted. Their brain has no more room. And then it just really trickles down and makes everyone miserable.
Yeah.
So I love that you said setting healthy boundaries. I'm a
Mhm.
fan of boundaries. Um, I was, this is funny. I'll tell you a personal story.
Mhm.
So my best friend and I were recapping the weekend, and she wasn't working today. Um, so she's an early bird. So we were texting early this morning, like before I started my routine, before my day started. So she sends another text, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm about to go back to the real world. My day is starting in about 15, 20 minutes. Like it went, and she's like, oh, okay, well, I'll be around. So then I'm on a Zoom call, on a Zoom meeting, sharing my screen, and all these texts started coming through,
Oh.
like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, what the heck?
Right.
Who is like, and I'm like, because I keep my phone on focus, do not disturb.
Right.
Like it's like Fort Knox on my phone, and
Right.
nobody can get through. But she is on the list
They can
that
get
comes through.
through.
She's
Yeah.
on a special list. So I got up. I was like, listen, let me tell you something. You about to get banned from the special
Right. You
list.
gotta
And
take
she's
her
like,
off.
right, you about to get off. Like, what are you doing? She's like, no, I'm sorry. My bad. Because she was in the store and needed like, my bad. Don't take me off. Please don't take me off. Because once you get off that list, baby, let me tell you,
Right.
you're not getting back on. Like my list of people who can get through
Yeah.
when I'm working is real short.
It's short. Yeah.
I
That's
mean, it's like
hilarious.
on one hand or less. As so I did allow my husband to get back on the list because he was banned for a minute too.
Yeah, my wife, she's on the list, but sometimes she's like, take me off of D&D. I'm like, listen, if I take you
Mm-mm.
off,
Like, don't play.
yeah, don't play around with me now.
Right. Like, this is
I don't
not
feel
for you.
bad anymore now since I know you have to put your husband on it.
Oh yeah, he was on, him and my son were on the list. And so because my son would ask for like, oh, hey mom, can we go on a cruise next year? Like a random poster. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like what's happening? Like stuff like
Yeah.
that. Or can I have some more money for Roblox? I'm like, you about to get banned. That's what's about to
Yeah.
happen. So on my setting healthy boundaries is what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. On my do not disturb list, it's mama, Adrian, my husband, Adriana, my daughter, Carla, a bestie, and I put Ryan back on. That's my son.
Okay.
It's this,
Yes, it's a tight list.
yeah.
I just got my wife right now, so Carol's on there, and that's it.
That's yeah.
That's it
I'm
right
good
now.
for demoting. And if these kids act up during the summer and bother me, they will be deleted and demoted from my you can get through the calls list because I know they're fine because they're here in the house. So
Oh, yeah.
they're not at school. So anyhow, setting boundaries. Yes, that's very important because boundaries make us all feel safe.
Mhm.
And it protects us from burnout. It protects us from having poor mental health. It protects us from being anxious all the time and wondering what's going to happen and feeling overwhelmed. So setting healthy boundaries for sure is important.
So what are some things that we can do to take care of our mental health as leaders?
Yes, that's a great question. So before I get into that part, if you're just joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. RJ, licensed clinical psychologist. I help busy professionals eliminate stress, anxiety, and burnout and stay mentally well so that they can live their best balanced lives that they work so hard for. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome. I'm Jason Phillips, licensed therapist. I help high achievers improve their self-confidence to eliminate self-doubt. Welcome.
I want to give you all. Oh, it's also our year live anniversary.
Yeah.
If you're just joining, so yeah. Anyhow, it was kind of
Which is
cool.
super dope. I just can't believe it's been a year.
A whole year.
Time
It popped up.
flies.
Time flies. It popped up in a Facebook memory. I was like, can this be right? Like,
Right.
this can't be right, but it's right. So before I get into we're gonna go quick because Jason told me I had to be finished by 8:30 because of the game. Um
Hey,
so
that's true.
I'm gonna be finished by 8:30. I promise. I'm gonna go quick. But before I go into the steps that you can take to prioritize your mental health, which is gonna be quick, we're in and out of here in 30 minutes. I want to give you all something. Gifts is my love language. I love to give and receive gifts. So I created a mental health guide for busy professionals during this month of May. And so I want to make sure you have it. Like there are some steps in there also that you can take, and this is for everybody. Even if you're watching this later, watching the replay, it'll still be there for you. Just text Be Well to 833-451-4258. If you're on Instagram Live, just type Be Well in, like just type out the words Be Well. Or if you're on, that's going to get too confusing because y'all going to be putting Be Well on my personal page and nothing's going to happen. So just text Be Well to 833-451-4258 for your free mental health guide for busy professionals. All right, let's get into this for the last few minutes. Welcome. I'm so glad you all are here with us. We're talking about why leaders should prioritize mental health and steps to actually do it. And so part of that, one way is to, or the whole way is to embrace the art of balance. And so we talk about work-life balance. We talk about, now they have all these fancy words because people are like, oh, balance, is it really a thing? Well, let's call it work-life flow. And the flow people are like, what? I mean, the other people are like, well, I don't like flow because it's not always a flow. Sometimes it's bumpy. Let's call it work-life harmony. Oh, no, it's not work-life harmony. It's like, it goes on and on. Listen.
Can't make everybody happy.
I don't got time for that. Y'all know what I mean by balance. All right. So work-life balance is what we're going to be talking about. Depending on your generation and your worldview, you may call it something different. It really is the same thing. When I talk about balance, it's not straight across. It's a constant calibration of your life in order to meet your goals. So imagine walking a tightrope. You've never seen someone walking a tightrope just straight across. Like they go this way some. This is me today. Like literally, right. I'm all the way up here. I'm over here on my tightrope, right? They go this way, they go that way. And it's a constant calibration to find that balance that works for your life. It's an individual journey. So the steps to prioritizing it, we first want to focus on, so we're talking about the art of balance. You want to focus on authenticity.
Love it.
Right? Authenticity. So Jason and I were checking in quickly today and he's like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm struggling. I'm low energy. I'm not struggling. I am feeling low in energy. I like to be careful about my I ams. I am feeling low in energy. And then Jason was like, yeah, I'm a little jet lag. And I was like, listen, we're just going to show up as ourselves.
Real with y'all. Yeah.
It is what it is. So authenticity. Show up as the best version of yourself in that moment, right? That helped in that moment. Go ahead.
And I'm gonna add when you are authentic, you can see that the jet lag is coming out.
It's all right. It's all right. Give you some grace.
Right. But when you're real, it's just easy. Like when you said, well, I know you was partying. I said I'm jet lagged from Cali. I was like, okay, so it's not just me, because sometimes I'm like, man, why am I struggling? Or what's going on? But it was both of us. And we just said, we're going to be real because we know you all listening probably have some similar moments where you're not feeling 100%. And when you can be authentic, it just helps being vulnerable, being honest, take all that pressure off to be perfect.
Yeah, no such thing as perfect. And being authentic doesn't mean showing up raggedy. Just show up the very best that you can. If you can't show up your very best, then call out. Don't show up. Like, don't do it. Don't show up raggedy, but show up as the best version of yourself that you can in that moment. The second thing is relentless rest. Not just any rest, but relentless rest. Like you got to almost act crazy to get some rest these days. And when I say you got to almost act crazy, like what I mean is like be really strict about your boundaries for rest. Put on your do not disturb. Don't answer the phone. Say no to things that are going to prevent you from getting rest. Think about all the different types of rest that you can benefit from. There is mental rest. We don't, I know a lot of, when we started more of the working from home, I don't think they call it that anymore. A lot of
the hybrid.
Yeah, the hybrid. And a lot of people were like, well, you've been at home all day. Why are you tired? It's like mental exhaustion that often people who do more manual work or work with their hands or come from a generation where there was no at-home work, they don't understand that. They're like, you've been at home all day. How can you be tired? Well, mental exhaustion is a thing. So be aware of the different types of rest that you need. You need mental rest, you need spiritual rest, you need physical rest, you need emotional rest, you need creative rest. There's one more. There are 7 types of rest by
the social, like the social media,
social, yeah, like yes, like the social
technology,
technology rest. Yes, it's Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith wrote a book called Sacred Rest. And she talks about all the different types of rest that we need and that we should prioritize. So be relentless about your rest. So steps to actually prioritize your mental health. First, embrace authenticity. Second, be relentless about your rest. And then finally, time consciousness. Okay. What do I mean by time consciousness? Be aware of what you're doing with your time. Often we're so exhausted that we just stare at the computer and then we're like, well, I've been working for 4 hours. No, you've been staring for 4 hours, right? Like, or you've been scrolling for 4 hours,
right?
Like something. And so if you're unsure, if you feel like your day flies by, you don't know what has happened, go ahead and do what we call a time audit. So write down everything you're doing, like every 30 minutes, do that for 3 days. And then you can go back and see where your time really is being spent, because time goes by so fast. We said that when we talked about our year live anniversary. Time flies by. You may not even realize how much time you're spending on things that really don't turn the flywheel. They don't move the needle. They don't get you closer to your goal. Now, when you're exhausted, it's so easy to do something that feels like work, but it's fake work.
Can you break that down? I like that.
Yeah, fake work. Like, for me, if I'm exhausted and I want to feel like I'm doing something, I'll go like research and read some stuff about neuroscience or the brain. That has nothing to do with what I'm supposed to be working on. But because it's like, I'm like, I'm reading about neuroscience. Yeah, that's fake work. It has nothing to do with what I need to be getting done right now in this moment. And a lot of us will intellectualize our inability to commit to a task. And so nothing gets done.
What I'll add to the time audit, I love that it makes me think about people who are really serious about their physical health. So if you go to the gym and now there's so many apps.
Are you asking or are you announcing?
No, I'm saying.
I was about to say. I mean, look at me. You know.
I know you're in the gym, and before, people who used to go to the gym, the serious people, they will always write down what they've been doing. I mean, now there's all these apps, but that's one way. And then people who are also serious, they'll track their food using like apps like MyFitnessPal. So you're saying basically we can do the same thing with our mental health in our days by tracking what we do, making sure that we're not wasting time.
What gets measured gets attended to.
Love it.
Yeah. All right. The game about to come on. Any lasting words? Yeah. We enjoyed y'all. Thank you so much. Please, we're gonna post this replay, share it with everybody. We know it was really, really good. So make sure y'all share it. Hopefully there were some helpful things for you. Go ahead, Jason.
What I will say is, y'all, these tips are really practical. You know, being authentic, having relentless rest, being time conscious. These are things that we can forget, but real talk, we can do it. You can do it, but just you have to be intentional about it. That's it. The game is about to come on.
So, the game about to come on. Bye, y'all.
See ya. Peace.
Bye.